Happy 2025. If you're listening to this in real time, this episode is intentionally being released on New Year's Day. If you're listening to it later on, stay with me as you learn more about Free to Be Mindful, and it's also an empowering and reflective episode for you. I always find it so interesting that as soon as the first of the year hits, we're bombarded with messages saying, New year, new me. And this bothers me for two reasons. First, why do you need a brand new version of yourself when you're already amazing as you are? Because, my friends, you are. And two, you can't really go forward without reflecting on the year that has passed. It's like walking into a forest blindfolded. The end or start of a new year is our chance to pause, to look back at the year behind us, and to set intentions for the year ahead. In our time together today, I'll also guide you through creating your own year in review and choosing your word of the year to stay grounded and focused in 2025. Let's dive in. You are listening to the Free to Be Mindful podcast, which invites you along on a journey to learn of mindful living, grow in mental health, and inspire through personal growth. In a world where we can often feel much stress and overwhelm, this podcast provides bite-sized tips and real talk conversations, empowering you to embrace mindfulness and nurture your full potential. I'm your host, Vanessa De Jesus Guzman, licensed therapist, retired educator, entrepreneur, and mom of two. I'm passionate about helping busy moms reduce the overwhelm and to live life intentionally without losing their, well, here we go. Hello and welcome to episode 238 of the Free to Be Mindful podcast. I hope that you're feeling good, looking good, and doing better in this world than you were yesterday. So leading up to the first of the year, I've seen tons of posts on social media with the quote along the lines of, I'm not making any plans on how I want 2025 to go, or I'm fine just staying me. And while I truly believe that we don't need to reinvent ourselves at the start of each new year or ever, I do wonder, do we really want to stay the same? I mean, think about it. If I showed up today as the 22-year-old version of myself, I mean, there's a reason why we hear the saying that says aging is like fine wine, or we all get wiser with time, because it's true. With each experience, we learn and we grow, and we should be getting wiser. So it's not really about becoming a new you, but it's about embracing the you that you are and the you that you're becoming. But before we learn and go forward, we do have to reflect backwards to see what is it that we want to learn from and what we're okay with leaving in the past. When I sat down to do this for myself this year, all I kept thinking about was how last year I was pregnant after IVF doctors told my husband and me that it would take, and I quote, a miracle for it to happen naturally. And I didn't know what to expect. And now that I've lived all of 2024, I do have a few professional and personal reflections. Because 2024 was definitely a year filled with milestones and with its share of challenges. And in case you're new to Free to Be Mindful, know that we offer therapy for New Jersey residents specializing in working with kids and with moms. We also offer therapy dog visits to schools, speaking engagements to schools, communities, and businesses, Amiga Mom's social and educational events, a blog, a newsletter, and of course, this podcast. So, as far as my professional milestones go, in my therapy practice, I worked with about 40 clients and held over 430 sessions, even taking maternity leave during June and July. Before going out on leave at the end of May, Ollie and I, Ollie, by the way, is my therapy dog. We visited 12 schools from 3-year-olds to 18-year-olds, spreading mindfulness and joy. Also, in the first half of the year, I gave 18 speaking engagements, sharing the important message of my mindful living framework through keynotes, webinars, workshops, and panels. And this Free to Be Mindful podcast published 60 episodes featuring 13 guests, and we reached listeners in 69 countries. And of course, we celebrated the 5-year anniversary of Free to Be Mindful. And then, as far as my personal highlights, I served as president for the Latino Mental Health Association of New Jersey, and we met many milestones there and even planned our first annual gala, which was super successful. It was my first full year as co-founder of the Latinx Practice Collective, where we've seen a lot of growth. And of course, I grew my family by welcoming a beautiful baby girl in June. And while social media sticks to just painting a pretty pictures, these highlights don't come without their challenges. I'm all about real talk, so I share these challenges with you here, and I go into more depth in my newsletters. So, first, my family's faith kept strong as my dad had a huge heart surgery in May with a long and tough recovery. But thankfully, he's doing well and getting stronger. And another challenge was getting ready for a new baby is always a lot in terms of space, financially, but more so in terms of what a woman's body goes through. I'm super grateful for my miracle baby, as I call her. But having a baby over 40 is different. And working with a new baby in your arms is super challenging. And I'm still experiencing the ongoing challenge of getting myself back, as I call it. Also, I'm still learning a lot from these lessons and these challenges that have been presented, including making time for the things that are most important in life and remembering that I need to include myself on that most important list. So, as you can see, reflecting on your year isn't just about listing achievements. It's about recognizing growth, celebrating wins, and learning from your challenges. And here's how you can do it. First, divide your year into themes. I shared the different aspects of my business, but you can share the different aspects of your life, such as family, career, health, hobbies, whatever you want to include. Second, list milestones. Reflect on what went well. Did you achieve a personal goal or maybe strengthen a relationship, overcome a challenge? Think about it. The third step is celebrate wins. Whether they be big or small, every win matters. Maybe it's starting therapy, maybe it's just finishing a book or taking a step towards a dream. The fourth step, acknowledge challenges because growth often comes from the hard stuff. So think about what lessons did this year teach you? And the fifth step, express gratitude. Reflect on who and what made a difference in your life this year, because gratitude can really shift your mindset and set the tone for the year ahead. So that's my looking back. Now, when it comes to looking forward, in the 4 year history of the Free to Be Mindful podcast, I've done about 6 shows or so that share with you how I just don't believe in New Year's resolutions. And I'll make sure to link those in the show notes. I think that having one goal for an entire 12 months with no plan or check-in in place just doesn't work, which is why, by the way, the second Friday in January is known as Quitter's Day. Seriously, it's a real thing because it's around that time that people quit on their New Year's resolutions. So I instead make quarterly goals because where you are in January and what you're working on then may not be the same as where you are in September. And in addition to those quarterly goals, after the reflections I shared earlier, I do then pick a word for the year, which provides a general theme on what to focus on this upcoming year. So, for example, in 2019, when I was working towards my therapy licensure, my word was hustle. Then in 2022, when I left my 18-year career in education and went full time into private practice, my word was intentional because I wanted to be more intentional with my time. In 2023, my word was alignment because I began cutting back the extra things on my plate and I made sure that my efforts were aligned. And last year, my word was grace because I needed to give myself a whole lot of that as a pregnant woman in her 40s running multiple businesses. And this year, for 2025, my word is nurture. Slowing down is sometimes a challenge for me, a big challenge. But my middle school son and my baby daughter reminds me that I need to be present where my feet are. Not only do I want to nurture the areas of my businesses so that they have a strong foundation to then propel forward, but I also need to nurture my children and my family so that they feel supported, loved, and valued in every moment. Nurturing just isn't about growing, it's also about being fully present, creating meaningful connections, and fostering a sense of stability and care in every aspect of life. By nurturing these relationships and priorities, I then ensure that both my personal and professional life grow with intention and with purpose. So when it comes to you choosing your own word of the year, reflect on the past year and then think forward. A word of the year is a powerful tool to guide your intentions. And here's how to pick yours in 3 steps. First, reflect on what you need. What's an area of focus for you in the coming year? Is it balance, courage, connection, growth? The second step, simplify it, keeping it to one word that resonates deeply with you. And third, anchor it. Use your word as a reminder throughout the year when you set goals, when you get faced with challenges, or when you need some inspiration. So I hope that in sharing my year in review reflections and my word of the year for the year ahead, I hope it inspires you to reflect on your own year and choose your own word of the year for 2025. And if this episode resonated with you, I'd love for you to share your reflections or your word of the year with me on social media. I can be found on most platforms at Counselor V De Jesus. And as we step into this new year, know that I'm truly filled with gratitude for you. I'm well aware that there are about 4.36 million podcasts worldwide, literally. And I appreciate when you spend these moments with me. And if there are friends, family, coworkers in your life that would benefit from this podcast, or maybe even from just this episode, I thank you in advance for sharing it with them. So, my friends, for today's guided meditation, begin by gently bringing your mind to the different aspects of your life, your family, your career, your health, or your hobbies. What themes stand out to you this year? Breathe in, acknowledging these areas, and slowly breathe out, letting go of any judgment. Now think about what went well. What milestones did you achieve? Perhaps you reached a personal goal, strengthened a relationship, or overcame a challenge. Take a deep breath in, celebrating these wins, and a long breath out, soaking in the joy of your accomplishments. And as you continue to breathe, gently reflect on the challenges you faced. What lessons did they teach you? Let your breath remind you that growth often comes from these tough moments. Inhale strength and exhale gratitude for the resilience you've built. And finally, bring to mind the people, places, or experiences that made a difference in your life this year. Who and what are you most grateful for? Breathe in deeply, filling your heart with gratitude, and exhale, letting this feeling anchor you in peace and appreciation. And as we close, take one last deep breath in, embracing all of the growth, the wins, and the lessons of this past year. And breathe out, setting an intention to move forward with clarity and gratitude. Let's head into this new year with clarity, gratitude, and intention. And remember, in all you do, you are always free to be mindful. Until next time, be well. Free to Be Mindful exists because of viewers and listeners like you. If you're enjoying the podcast or felt this week's show resonated with you, please take a moment to leave a rate and review on the platform where you catch your favorite shows. That quick and easy act allows me to see what you're enjoying so I can deliver more personalized content that focuses on learning, growing, and inspiring. It also helps others find the podcast too. Don't forget to subscribe so you can listen along next week. And if you can do me the favor and share this podcast on social or with a friend who may benefit from the message shared today, that would be truly appreciated. In the meantime, I welcome you to follow me on social media across all platforms at Counselor V De Jesus for more fun content. And remember, my friends, in a world where you are free to be anything that you want to be, you are always free to be mindful. Catch you next week.